everybody, and welcome back to the Blue Jays Today show, where today, guys, we're going to do a little bit something different today. We're not going to be really talking about no Blue Jays news. We wouldn't be talking about that here because there literally really isn't much going on with the Toronto Blue Jays, and instead, we're going to put all of our minds together and look at the future. We're going to look and see what the Blue Jays are going to do this year, and more specifically, the players on the Toronto Blue Jays that are going to carry this team back to the postseason, because it's going to be up to them to do that job. So we're going to do some over-unders with y'all right here on this beautiful Monday evening. I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Playalog. We basically took the 12 most influential players on the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, obviously, this will change, right? There could be some breakouts that we're not considering, or some trades or some acquisitions, you know, between now and opening day that we just don't know about. But the 12 most influential players on the team right now, in our opinion, we are going to go through. We're going to reveal what is currently being projected for said player. So if he's an offensive player, if he's a hitter, we're going to look at the OPS. If he is a pitcher, we're going to look at the ERA. And this is projected by Baseball Reference. So we're going to look at those projections. And then both Adam and I, maybe with a little bit of influence from you folks as well, are going to be doing some over-unders on whether or not we do think that this player is going to exceed expectations or not. Because looking at this team and looking at what they are made of, the roster construction, if these 12 guys don't go, Blue Jays don't go, especially based off of this offseason. So, I mean, I'm really hoping that we're going to see a lot of overs on this show. So.
Yeah, we better see them go, man. That's Ross's plan. Literally, Ross's plan is to have them go. So, let's hopefully we get some overs as well. Big shout out really quick, too, as well, to the interns we have just brought on to the Blue Jays Today team, Max and Will. They're going to be in the chat, so say hello to them and welcome them to the Blue Jays Today team. They're going to help the boys transition into the next stages in this upcoming season. So big shout out to those boys in the chat. Let's get started, shall we? And I think the obvious one to start with is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I'm going to flash you guys over right here. You got Vladimir Guerrero Jr. leading off. Here are the 12 guys, by the way, so you guys can take a look at it if you're watching on the YouTube stream. But Vladdy to start off, let's reveal the over-under given to him by Baseball Reference. And it is a high one. It is 872 OPS.
I didn't expect them to go that high with things.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Also, for those of you guys who are watching on YouTube and seeing this live, my column will be on the left.
Yes.
Adam's column will be on the right. That's why you're seeing two Guerreros right there.
Yeah.
And we'll put our over-unders accordingly. 872, that is very high for Guerrero, and that's a number that he has only hit one time in 5 seasons of Major League Ball, and that was just 2021. And in 2021, he absolutely smashed it, but every single other season, he really hasn't gotten even remotely close. In fact, last year, he was almost 100 points less than that. That's a big jump.
Yeah, you're basically asking for a better-than-average career year. Now, I mean, I made a video kind of hyping up Vladimir Guerrero Jr. because I think, you know, I was at a dark place. If I'm gonna be truly honest, I don't really know what to expect after hearing that Ross Atkins is like, oh, this team's it. This is the team that we have. So basically, I try to convince myself, I try to convince all y'all that the only way that we have a winning season is with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And he's going to the gym. He's going through his training right now. And we're seeing, like, good physical results. Is that going to translate to the baseball field? Like, is he going to hit the ball better? We still don't know that yet. But is he going to hit it better to exceed an 872 OPS this season?
Well, I'll be honest, man. If you made a video about him, I think that you need to stand with what you said. I think you got to ride or die with
here's the thing. I said he needs to save the season. I didn't say he was going to do it.
So
that's different. So that's different, bro.
There you go, though. then you're asking yourself, then, are we going to have a good year or not?
Exactly.
Basically, yeah.
Exactly. So literally, what we predict here has a trickling effect on the entire Blue Jays season.
Pretty much, yeah.
Are we feeling confident that the Blue Jays are going to be going on to the postseason on the back of Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? And look, I think he could. I think realistically he could. My kind of hopeful projection for him was like an 855. I think going over 872 is kind of wishful at this point after being 2 seasons removed.
Well, it's of course it's wishful, but again, I mean, I think, and we have said this multiple times, if our team is going to go, we need Guerrero to be a strong all-star.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not going to get Cody Bellinger, if you're not going to go get I mean, Shohei Ohtani, which they missed out on. Now, I mean, we're hearing some rumors about JD Martinez, but I mean, we've heard rumors about everybody, right? So maybe they go get somebody, maybe they don't. But I mean, Guerrero's still gotta be the man to take you over the edge here, and I do think that if we are gonna be a successful team going to the playoffs, we're gonna have to hit over that mark. I am going to, against my better judgment here, I'm going to buy into what Ross Atkins is doing, because he believes in it. That's the decision he's made. He believes in it. I am also going to believe. I'm choosing to believe, although I know, if I was really a betting man, I was to bet my life on this, I might go under. But I think I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to say that Guerrero is going to have a very strong season. I don't think he's going to have a season like 2021,
right?
But I think he might finish with like an 890 OPS, just over that mark, just over.
Okay, fair enough. And look, I do want him to break out in this kind of way, over an 872 OPS. But yeah, like if I'm a betting man, I gotta go under, and I think that's where I'm gonna go. My gut tells me going over is just too hopeful for me. It's like when I'm betting on my football team to do something today, and I know deep down they really aren't, because they're the Arizona Cardinals. For those who don't know, they're 4-13 this year. So like really betting on them was not a good decision, and betting under would have been the right decision all season long. So for me, it just, I gotta go under. Look, I still think a great year would be an 860 OPS, an 860 for OPS for Guerrero, and I think that's very achievable over that, and that is quite the bounce back.
Let us know in the comments, guys, what it is that you are riding with here, over or under on Vladdy. I think both of us want it to be over. In fact, I think every Jays fan wants it to be over. But it is a big mark to hit right there. Let's move over to the first. I see.
I like that.
You've done that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go over to Chris Bassitt. Yeah, let's do Chris Bassitt here and see what his ERA is. 3.74 on Chris Bassitt. And I guess for this.
Wild.
It would be, we're doing it, it's a good thing to go under here.
Yeah, it's a good thing to go under for Chris Bassitt.
It's a good thing to go under here for Chris Bassitt. I mean, Bassitt last year had a 3.60 ERA, and on his career, he's got a 3.49 ERA.
Yeah, 34 years old. He will be 35 come time for the season. So, I mean, I like Chris Bassitt. I think he's got the good stuff. I mean, it felt like the whole season he was a better than a 360, if that makes any sense. Like, there was times when I look at this guy as a low 3, then he has some blow-up games here and there. I think down the stretch, he really did pop off. He really had some big, long games where he pitched 8 innings, shutout ball. Really good stuff from Chris Bassitt. But is he going to do that for just remind myself, a 374 over-under?
I don't see how I could possibly bet against it, though. I mean, like, the guy, the last time that the guy went over that mark was in 2019. Right? And I mean, like, we haven't, it's one of those situations where I think I just have to ride this until the wheels fall off. Like, I don't anticipate him to go back to what he did in the COVID year where he had a 2.29 ERA. Like, that was just stupid. But, I mean, I think it is very realistic to say that he could do exactly what he did last season, and he was phenomenal last season, and he was under that mark. So yeah, I have to go under here with Chris Bassitt.
Yeah, I'm gonna ride with you there too. You know what? I even think he's gonna be even better. I think he could easily get better than 360 last year. When we were kind of looking at Kevin Gausman last year, and I was looking back at the video we did this last year, and we were talking about Kevin Gausman, like, yeah, he had a good year, but like, how often is he going to repeat that? We don't know. And we were kind of skeptical on him, but I think because they had him for like a 350, and we were kind of like around the line, like we weren't sure, and he smashed it. I think he's gonna have a great sophomore season with the Blue Jays, going under on the ERA.
Okay, so Chris Bassitt's going to pop off, everybody. Let us know your thoughts in the comments as well. Also, shout out to the 174 people watching. If you haven't already done so, please hit the like and smash the subscribe button, everybody. Let's move over to our next player here. I guess we're going to jump back over to the left column here and go with Bichette. What do we have for Bo? 830.
This is much higher than he was last year. He was projected 813, and he just hit it. He had 814. We'll flash over his stats here. So they are going much, much higher.
That is quite a significant jump for Bo Bichette. I mean, I feel like both with Guerrero and with Bo right there, it almost feels like there's a little bit of a factor of like, hey, we're getting closer to the contract right now. We are getting older. We are getting a little bit more pop as we get older. 830 though, that is a very good year for Bo. And I mean, like, if I was to bet on Bichette to do that and Guerrero to do what he did, because I said over on Guerrero as well, and I said under on Bassitt, a little bit of a homer effect going on here. But I mean, Bichette is pretty damn good at baseball too.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, and guys, let us know in the comments, like, what would you guys do for these over-unders? We go over-under, 830 OPS on Bichette. Here's the thing that's kind of tripped me out, making me hesitant to go over, is he hasn't gone over in his last full 3 seasons, because you have his 2019 year, he came up, he was a rookie, shortened sample size. 2020, shortened sample size. Granted, he was over in both of those years, but ever since, it's been under, and I think that there realistically could be a year where he goes over 830, absolutely. But if I'm a betting man, I gotta go under on Bichette for 830 OPS.
Well, yeah, okay. So you're saying under for sure.
Yeah.
And I think the problem with Bo is like he could still have a phenomenal season, but have an 800 flat. You know,
yeah.
just because
Exactly.
there's so much production there. You know, he hits all the time. The guy does not walk at all, right? And he's also not a major power hitter, so. All of that OPS is being driven by singles and by doubles a lot of the time with Bo, and he could still have a great year, and just like last year, and have an 814. So it's a tough one. I am gonna go under as well. I'm gonna say under for Bichette, but it's gonna be very close. It's gonna be very close.
I think what's gonna bring him over is the more home runs, because I think with a matter of fact, I do think he is pretty much breaking out. And he's broken out into league. We know exactly what we're gonna get, right? Like you're gonna get the high batting average. He hit 306 last year, right? You're gonna have that OPS on base percentage not be that much more than the batting average. But if he pops a few more home runs, like if he hits 25, 26, yeah, he'll be over that.
Well, here's the thing though. I was thinking the same thing, but I have to disagree with you because I was looking at 2021, and in 2021 he had 29 home runs, and he still missed the mark. That was literally, I didn't say that on the thing, but that's the reason why I didn't click over, because that year he played the full season, he had 29 home runs, and he just was underneath. So I had to go under just because of that year alone.
You know what? Too, you also got to consider there's a lot of factors involved here. Like at bats, he had less at bats 2023. He was hurt for that time. We did forget about that. So that home run number could be could be a factor there. Less hits. I mean, there's a lot of kind of factors there. He didn't play out the full season, so maybe if he had a bit more time or was healthy during that time, he was a little bit unhealthy during that time too, coming back. Right. I don't know. There's factors there where maybe if he did pop a few more, maybe he could have gotten over. Who knows?
Potentially.
You can get OPS in so many different ways.
Yeah, sure. All right, let's move on to the next player, everybody. Move over to the right category once again. Moving to the bullpen here, we got Jordan Romano.
And this was disrespect,
Interesting.
Last year, they had him projected at a 3. This year, they increased it to 3.39 ERA. I don't know about you, bro. I don't need to do much thinking. I gotta smash the under.
Yeah.
I gotta smash the under.
Did he have a really bad year last year?
He was under a 3, because I wanted to see
what I thought.
Yeah, no, I'll flash it over here. I wanted to see, because we both said over on the 3. I think we were both going under is kind of hard, but maybe he'll have some regression. But he still went under 3. Yeah. He had a 290 if I'm not mistaken.
So he was still phenomenal last year. He's been phenomenal his whole career, and now they are raising his expectation. I mean, I definitely have to go under as well too. There's just no reason for me to say. There's just no reason for me to go over. He's only had one over year, and it was his first season.
Yes. Compared to the rest of his years, it's a very different year for the ERA, but still, 334. Are they factoring in age? Are they factoring in
I don't know what the hell they're doing, man. That's questionable.
I know a lot of Blue Jay fans out there kind of are hesitant about Romano because he can get blown up. We've seen the sliders down the middle. We've seen the mistake pitches. We've seen him, flirt with danger, getting runners in scoring position while he had a clean slate. But I still think that he's going to have a great year this year. Whatever that may mean.
The league was undoubtedly figuring him out a bit last year. That was happening. We did see stretches where Romano was struggling mightily, and he wasn't doing himself any favors. Yeah. But you got to hope that, with all of the talent that he has, he does the readjustment. And I mean, when you look at the whole career, he has just been that dominant. So I gotta ride with my guy. Yeah, I gotta ride with my guy.
If I'm gonna do under on Bichette when I have the entire OPS being under 830, I gotta go with this when his entire ERA is under 334.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Also, Lucas saying just joined. How are y'all doing the over-unders for pitchers? Is over better or is under better? Under
Good
is
question.
better for pitchers. Over is clearly better for offensive players. I know it's a little confusing because one of them's bright green and one of them's bright red.
Yeah.
And, bright red looks bad, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll change it over, actually. I'll have 2 separate ones for the pitchers.
Okay.
Make it green, you know what I mean?
Sure, yeah. It looks good. Looks a little bit better that way.
Yeah.
Moving on, folks, we are going to look over at Alec Manoah. I didn't see these beforehand. Adam made this graphic, so I'm actually very interested to see what the projection here is for Mr. Manoah.
For me, on my first glance, it was pretty tough to predict, and it is going to be a 3.80 ERA.
Oh, no, I know where I'm going.
You're going to go over?
I'm going over. It's not
for
easy.
me,
no.
For me, it's wishful thinking.
No.
That's what it is. I really hope he can bounce back, but that's the thing. If I'm going to be really hopeful on Guerrero to bounce over 872, and I got to lower my expectations, I got to do the same thing with Manoah. Like, I think a safe floor. I think he can hit a 4. Like, I think a 4 is reasonable for the year he did last year. And another reality, I could also see him pitching for a 272. You know what I mean? Like, because his floor and ceiling, we saw the drasticness from 2022 to 2023. So I think the exact same thing could happen, but getting better. You know what I mean?
It's possible. I'm not going to bet on it. I think that Alec Manoah is going to have some growing pains. Like, I really do. And, I mean, more people have been talking about it, and I don't even think that this had enough media coverage. But the fact that the pitch clock was a whole thing last year, I mean, like, maybe that really was a big problem for him. That is still going to be a big problem, So, granted, I got to go over.
Granted, he and Kevin Gausman said this in an interview, and this got, like, no media limelight, but Kevin Gausman said in an interview that Alec Manoah was hurt coming to spring training. Right. And he didn't tell anybody. And like, he was rushed. He didn't start right. He also came into spring training, 30 pounds overweight. We heard from Scott Mitchell from TSN. So there's a lot of factors in there. I mean, that's why he got the shots in his elbow, because he was hurt. Like, that's a big reason too. So,
why didn't he tell anybody about that?
Because he's Alec Manoah,
But that's the thing.
That's the thing.
Has that changed? That's also a factor. I mean, like, this guy, like, why aren't you telling people about that? Like, yeah, I know you're Alec Manoah and you want to like do the thing, you want to be on the field and everything, but like, look at what happened. I really hope that there was a whole learning experience here. And like, when you're hurt, when you're seriously hurt, when there is an issue, that is something that needs to be communicated. I know that, you want to be the guy, and we want you to be the guy, but you can only be the guy when you're 100%.
Yeah, and you got to hope he's learned it, man, because look, he's a young kid, and I could see a reality where if hasn't matured enough, and that's a word that we used a ton when talking about Alec Manoah last year, like, if he hasn't matured enough to realize, like, to really put the team first, you have to get healthy.
Yeah.
You have to get healthy first before going out in the field, because look what happened. Look at all the games that we lost. Granted, we still made the playoffs and didn't really hurt us in the end of the day, because you weren't even playing in the playoffs against the Minnesota Twins. But you could have done a lot better for the Blue Jays if you just would have gone on the IR a lot sooner.
Probably.
You know?
Let's move over to Mr. Alejandro Kirk, everybody, the captain. As you guys know, my favorite guy. I already feel some bias creeping in. I want to smash the green O. What is the projection here?
764 OPS on Alejandro Kirk.
You know what? That's actually kind of respectful. I'm not upset about that at all. I thought they were going to disrespect Alejandro Kirk quite a bit.
They didn't.
After last year. That is, like, pretty reasonable to me. Obviously, folks, last season, I mean, he still hit for a 250 batting average, which really isn't the worst when you consider the entire Toronto Blue Jays lineup. But there was no pop there whatsoever, everybody. Like, he had a 358 slugging, just not good enough. And the guy finished with a 692 OPS. Now, on the career, he's got a pretty nice slash line. That is a very good slash line in terms of catching talent in the MLB. Yeah. And they're actually predicting that he's going to do a little bit better than the career. Very interesting.
It is interesting. The big keys for me to see Alejandro Kirk bounce back is I got to see him get back to the approach that made him Alejandro Kirk. Because we saw at times last year him wavering from it. You've seen him chase pitches that you would never see him chase. Yeah. And then he falls behind in a count. Or it'd be a 2-0 count, and he's geared up, and he swings at a slider down and away. Like, he's really geared up for it. I need to see a little bit more of a patient approach from Alejandro Kirk to get that good on-base percentage back. Like, yeah, he dropped about 30 points in his batting average, dropped about 30, 40 points in his on-base percentage. We gotta bounce back a little bit in the on-base, get some better pitch selections, and I don't know, man. You're basically saying be what you were in kind of 2022. That's what you're hoping for a bounce back to be 2022 level.
And also, okay, if he did 2021, he would literally hit the mark.
You would hit the mark, exactly.
So I'm personally going to hit over. I think that he is going to bounce back. I believe in Kirk. I believe in the talent that is there. I think that he was struggling last year, also with a little bit of injuries. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And also his last year, it was bad, but it wasn't Alec Manoah levels of bad. So I'm gonna ride with Kirk. I'm gonna say that he's gonna hit the over.
It's tough for me. This is probably the most split one I am out of all the guys right now. Because you are asking for a bounce back. Granted, another year. I say full year for a catcher. You know what I mean? He played 223 games, or 123 games, excuse me. Like, that's a pretty full year for a catcher.
Year,
right? He had 139 last year. It's tough to say. And here's the big thing that kind of first got him off, I think, on the wrong start, was when he didn't show up to spring training. He had a baby, right? So I got him off to a wrong start. And then going into the season, who was the guy that was getting more playing time than Kirk? It was Jansen, right? He was getting more playing time. So then Kirk really couldn't find a rhythm. I think with this year, you don't have a lot of bats unless we go out and sign J.D. Martinez. But you're going to be using that DH spot a lot, right? So Kirk's going to get a lot more at-bats. And with that being said, I've just convinced myself I'm going to go slightly over on Alejandro Kirk because he's going to have more at-bats. He's going to be back in rhythm. He's going to be in spring training. Hopefully no second kid is on its way, and Kirk's going to be back.
Keep in mind, though, there's also the John Schneider effect. Not to talk you out of this, but there is also the John Schneider effect, where he is kind of stupid sometimes. And I could totally see a reality where even if Kirk is popping off and doing good, like he's got like an 820 OPS after April, we're just throwing in Espinal. We're just throwing in, Bichette. We're throwing in these other guys like into the DH spot consistently
against big teams like the Yankees, or the Orioles.
Just because we're John Schneider and like that's what we do.
I hear you.
So I'm just saying, just factor that in.
On a John Schneider note, I mean, you got to hope that he's gonna improve from last year as well, right? Because I think also coming into camp too. You coming into camp. Again, but from the factor, like, Kirk, he knows the players better than anybody else, John Schneider. And he knows Kirk was slow getting up to speed in regular season ball. You only saw Kirk really get regular at-bats when Jansen went on the IL. Right? So, and that kind of brought him back up to speed. So, I think it was a management kind of decision, right?
This level of thinking is exactly how Ross Atkins has approached the offseason. You gotta hope, you just gotta hope, right? Hopefully he's learned. Hopefully he'll be better next year. If not, we're not making playoffs.
Facts.
It's as simple as that.
Hey, quick shout out to Deep Dive Jays for the 279 dono. Let's go.
Thank you very much. Can we get Rodriguez still in a bat or two? No, we can't, everybody. We're getting one player, one player only, folks. So he better be solid. Thank you so much for donating, guys. Let's give a quick shout out here, actually, to the sponsor of this video. Now we're halfway through all of the players.
Time for a quick shout out to Betway. Betway is the best place to make all of your sports bets on all of your favorite teams. Betway is also in collaboration with iGaming Ontario. Must be 19 years older to participate. And guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
Shout out to Betway, everybody, for being absolutely phenomenal. That is literally what we're doing right now, betting the overs, betting the unders. Guys, so if you have any interest in sports betting at all, hop on to Betway. Let's move on to our 7th Toronto Blue Jay, folks. The absolute ace of the Blue Jays rotation. Give me some Kevin Gausman. What is this going to be?
They've, Baseball Reference got Kevin Gausman at a 3.49 ERA. This one's an easy one for me, folks. This is them sleeping on Kevin Gausman. I am going with the green under. Give me Kevin Gausman. He's going to put up another phenomenal year, and there's really no indication, right? Incredible year, top in the Cy Young votings, no injuries. He's been the peak of his career, and for a pitcher, this is kind of where you're seeing in terms of age, where a lot of like elite pitchers tend to peak. Give me Kevin Gausman. He's pitching for, dude, he could pitch for an under or two this year. I was expecting a line of like 320. Like then I would have been like, okay, maybe we're a little bit more competitive, but 3.49. Hell no, that's disrespect.
No, that is disrespect there, man. Like, if Kevin Gausman has more than a 3.5 ERA, I think we're all going to be disappointed. I think he will be disappointed in himself as well. He can toss the green U right next to me as well there. That seems ridiculous, Like, 3.49 for him, but then you got a 3.8 for Manoah. Like, I feel like that's just way too close, man. Like, Kevin Gausman is a freaking stud, dude.
Yeah, we got to look at looking at his baseball reference here. I don't know where the hell he even got these numbers from. Like, sometimes I feel like there's some bias involved in here. I don't know who the hell makes these projections, but there's definitely a little bit of bias because you're looking over Kevin Gausman. Yeah, you look at his career, 384. But for me, I always tend to look at what have you done in the last few years, right? Because in baseball, you can be up and down, but Gausman's been only down in terms of the ERA numbers, 316, 335, 281, and then COVID year of 362. So in the last 3 years, he's been a dominant ace. Yeah. Why would he be anything higher than that?
No, ever since he turned 30, the guy's been phenomenal at baseball. Yeah. And again, like you said, like you do see this time and time again with some of those veteran pitchers, they really do find themselves, you know, and it almost feels like they turn 30 and they get better because they have a better understanding of the game. They have better mechanics as well. And because they have better mechanics and a better understanding of the game, I mean, they can call the game differently. They understand things more.
They have more confidence, and he knows what his pitches are. He knows who he is, right? He's a splitter ball pitcher, right? He knows, and what I love to see from Kevin Gausman is he was able to continue to make adjustments even last year. He used the fastball in counts where everyone's expecting the splitter. Because last year, and guess what? That increases strikeout total, right? Everyone's expecting the splitter. Everyone's expecting the splitter. How many times do you see him paint a fastball on the bottom part of the knees and they were caught looking? Because they're all expecting splitter. Just genius pitching. He's going to do it again.
Agreed. What about Dirty Hands Dan, everybody? Dirty Hands Jansen, folks. We gave the green O to Alejandro. What are we going to do with Dirty Dan?
Dirty Dan has an OPS of 793. And like last year when we were looking at this, they were going really low on Dirty. I think they were doing like 712 or something down low like that. They have found out that Dirty Hands is real. He is a good player.
He is the real fucking deal.
But that's a big OPS number.
That is, man. 793 right there. Let's remind ourselves of what it was that he did last season. There was a lot of pop in Dirty Hands Jansen.
I think it was around that mark, if not a little bit lower,
86 OPS from Dirty Dan. 228 batting average, too.
The
guy
that's the thing,
doesn't make contact, but when he does, it goes, folks. It goes. And I find it so funny. I mean, I think it's just great. But when they always flash up those expected slugging numbers and like the career sluggings and all this stuff, and they have these lists, right? And it's like, you know, in a 2-0 count, like slugging of players, and they got Mike Trout, Bryce Harper, Danny Jansen, Juan Soto, Mookie Betts. It's just like, what is he doing here, bro? You know, and
it's because the batting average is so low, and then when this guy does make contact, yes, you're right, like it goes over the fence.
It's annihilated, man.
It's a souvenir.
It is absolutely annihilated. Now, when I first saw that mark, my instinctual reaction was I was gonna get on the U. I was gonna get on the red U. But then I started thinking about it. Dirty Dan doesn't have an extension.
I know.
He's not paid. He's not paid right now, everybody. He is not paid, and to my knowledge, he is fairly healthy, folks. It is going to be a big feat for him to get over that, and I do think this is a little bit of bias coming in from me, but I do believe in the contract year. The contract year, that is a thing that happens. Players just play so much better. Danny Jansen, if he goes over that mark, at the age that he is right now, he will get stupid paid, and I think he is going to get stupid paid. So I'm going to go over.
Dude, from just a Blue Jays perspective right now, leaving the analytics part of it out of this comment, if he does go over, that's our four-hitter.
That's our four-hitter.
But I am worried, and because of the health, because he really has not stayed healthy in any year he's played. And so, and like in the shortened sample size, if he pops off and then gets hurt, like, then he's going to smash the over for me. But that's what it is. It comes down to like, how hot is he when he gets hurt eventually? Because he's just never been healthy.
Wow, the guy hasn't played 100 games since 2019.
No.
I didn't even realize that. Like, I knew that he'd been always like on and off. But when you look at what Kirk has done in the last few years, and again, you say what you will about Alejandro Kirk, I mean, at least the guy has been here, right? And at Danny Jansen, like, I love Danny, but like, where you been, man? You know, you've been kind of on and off the IL all season long. That's tough. That is tough.
It's gonna be tough, man. And I do think I'm just throwing it out here. Here's my logic of why I'm gonna pick the under on this line for Danny Jansen is because he's gonna get more playing time, because there's more guys. He's gonna be able to have he's gonna have more at bats. But I think that's going to kind of average out I think if he does stay healthy, he'll kind of average out. But granted, he did hit 260 one time. I think if he hits like 260 again, like he smashes the over. But more times than not, it's going to be a low 200. And with the injury, I don't know. For me, it feels like even if he does come back, he might have a few weeks of trying to get back into rhythm, and he's hurt a little bit just striking out. So for me, I think I got to go with the under. I would love for him to be over, but for right now, yeah, I got to just chill with that.
It's also like he can still have a very good year and go under.
Yeah, he had a great year last year and he was under.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, Danny Jansen, he really shouldn't be the four-hitter. Like, he shouldn't, you know? Like, that's never been his role. That's not him. If he wants to develop into being that guy, phenomenal, right? Like, you're going to get paid over $100 million on free agency if you want to be that guy.
Yeah.
But, catchers aren't necessarily expected to come in and to hit 100 RBIs. And if he has over 793 OPS and he's going to be batting in the middle of the lineup, then that's kind of what he's going to be doing. So it would be a massive year from Danny if he did it. It's kind of something that the Jays need, but he can still be good whilst going under.
You know, it's kind of a great thing for Danny Jansen. He's in a situation right now where if he does stay healthy, he could get absolutely paid this offseason because he's going to be batting in the 4 or 5 spot for most of the season. You got to match, or even 6, maybe the lowest, right? What he needs to do is put some freaking padding on his hand. I can't have his hands keep getting hit, man.
Yeah.
Too many inside fastballs. That's how you get dirty hands. He can't get his arms extended, so pitchers jam him up and in. He's got to wear something protecting his hands. He didn't do it. He's never worn it, except I think coming back from injury, he wears it for a little bit. He needs to start with it, man. He's got to stay on the field.
Yeah, and I mean, that doesn't even factor in the fact that the guy calls an incredible game, right? Like, he is just a great game manager, and defensively speaking, we've touted this guy time and time again. Like, he's just a good catcher. He's just a good overall catcher, and if he can hit like a good offensive producer as well, the guy's going to make stupid money. So I hope that you get the bag, Danny. I hope that it's with the Blue Jays, but I hope that you get the bag. Let's move over to Dalton Varsho, folks. Bad first year with the Toronto Blue Jays last season. What are they predicting for year 2 in Toronto?
729 OPS. That's a pretty good line, actually, if I'm going to be honest. Let's remind ourselves, folks, of what he did last year.
I believe it was like just under 700, is it not? Like 690 or something?
I think he ended right. Oh yeah, no, even worse. I thought it was 712 for whatever reason. No, that's his career. He ended with a 674 OPS. So basically what this line is saying is he's got to increase it by 50 points.
And he's got to do more than his career.
Oh my, and he's got to, does he have a career year? Does he have a career year? He's got to have almost a career. No, actually not. He had one bad year with the Toronto Blue Jays. And the last 2, he would have hit over.
Yeah.
So they're saying, does he bounce back? Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty good line, actually.
Yeah, it is actually a pretty good line. And frankly, like, if I was to... Like, I was thinking if I was going to make a line for Danny Jansen, like, that's kind of where I put it, you know? So I'm struggling here, folks. I am really struggling here. We didn't see the power that we thought that we'd see from Dalton Varsho last year. Like, does it come around? It's hard for me to say over because I didn't watch him when he was over there on Arizona.
Exactly, right.
And because I didn't watch him over there on Arizona, I don't think I've ever really seen Dalton Varsho with a good plate approach or with a consistent stretch of just dummying the baseball.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have that bias. I've never seen that with my own eyes. So it's tough for me to say, oh yeah, of course, like he's automatically going to go back to what he was when he was in Arizona, because this is a completely different team, a completely different situation. Right. So
for me, I'm looking at these numbers right here. What's the clear difference right here? Yes, the OPS is a lot lower, and the batting average is slightly lower. Same with the on base, but that kind of goes with the batting average. But it's the slugging. Yeah, it's gone.
No power.
There's no power at all. And if you looked at the Blue Jays last year, there was no power at all. Bichette didn't really have any power. Vladdy didn't really have any power. George had no power. Like, the power was vanished, other than Dirty Hands Jansen. He was the only guy. But the power was gone. So was it a approach by the entire Blue Jays lineup that then caused him to lower his slugging? I don't know. If they're trying to change that, if those moves really with Haig coming up and assisting and, having Don Mattingly, be in the conversations with the offense, with the lineup and prepping the hitters. Is that going to change it? Again, that's all wishful thinking because I don't have anything to base it off of. This is probably, I think, now the hardest line to pick here. Where are you kind of sitting right now?
I'm really looking at both the numbers between 2022 and 2023 right there.
Yeah.
And actually, it's just the difference of 7 home runs.
Yeah.
Because he hit the exact same amount of doubles, he hit the exact same amount of triples, and he was shy by about 9 hits, and he was down 7 home runs. So it really is the fact that he didn't have 7 home runs. Yeah. And that was the difference. Everything else is pretty much the same. So do we think that he is going to get back to hitting closer to 30 home runs or closer to 20?
Like
that's the question.
That's the thing is
30 or 20.
And I actually do think he'll probably hit. If I were to do a safe bet, like his home run line might be like 23, 24. I think he'll hit a little bit more now that he's more accustomed to the team. But that might put him right around the OPS line. It's a coin flip for me, folks. It's a coin flip, and I think because I've been kind of going with my logic brain a lot, I'm gonna go with my heart a little bit. I'm gonna say he's gonna go slightly over. He's gonna hit like 735 this year. I'm going slightly over.
I'm gonna differ with you. I'm gonna go under, but just under. Like literally, like we're talking 728 or something.
We're talking like 1 or 2 home runs different.
Yes.
We'll be Dalton Varsho's over.
I really want to be wrong about that, man.
Yeah.
I really want to be wrong because again, if he does go under that mark, and again, I know people are gonna say you can't evaluate the trade for years to come, which I do agree with. I do think that does make sense. But if he goes under in back-to-back years like that, it's not looking good.
It's a loss. It's already a loss, but it will be for sure a
loss. It will be confirmed more loss, you know?
Shout out. We did get a YouTube member just coming in. Welcome to the starter membership, MB Anderson.
There we go, yeah. W's in the chat, everybody. W's in the chat, folks. If you haven't already done so, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, guys. We are continuously growing and bringing you Toronto Blue Jays content. Let's look at Jose Berrios.
Oh, I remember the line they did here. In my opinion, very disrespectful. They have him for a 4.19 ERA.
Feels like there's a pattern going on with the pitchers, man. It feels like with the pitchers, like they like to go... Yeah, because I'm just looking at all the pitchers. You know, like with Romano, I was like disrespect. With Gausman, disrespect. With Bassitt, it kind of felt a little...
But then Manoah, it's like, what?
The Manoah, like, we were kind of like the other direction, so...
Let's remind ourselves of the great career Jose Berrios has had.
Yeah.
But then again, they might be considering the fact he's only 1 year removed from having probably one of the worst pitching seasons we've seen.
It was
on a Toronto Blue Jay for a full year.
It was terrible, yeah. His 2022 campaign was absolutely atrocious, folks, but, like, that was just such an anomaly.
Yeah.
It was such a total anomaly, and when you look back at the rest of his career, he is literally, other than his rookie season, never gone over what they are projecting.
That's wild that he's got a career ERA of 4.15.
And it's
just those 2 years.
Yeah. Like that 2022 year screwed his career statistics.
Yeah, literally.
Because if you took the... Actually, do it. Take it out. Can you do that? Can you take it out? Yeah, use control. Oh, you can't do it?
Oh, wait, hold on. I think if I do this, yes. No, I can't do it. Damn. I wish if someone knows how to, please let us know. That'd be sick to actually work.
Yeah, it's like I want to know like how much of an impact has that had? Like I would just looking at it, eyeballing it, like he might be like around the 4, maybe even just slightly under it.
Yeah, slightly under.
If he doesn't have that 2022 year. So that just sucks for Berrios.
Yeah.
I do need to go under though.
Yeah,
I really believe in Jose Berrios. I think that he is phenomenal. So
I'm gonna smash the under too. I can easily say, look, anything in the 3. Like it could be a high 3, it could be a mid 3, hell, it could be a low 3. He could have a really great year this upcoming year. Easy one.
You know what? It's impossible not to bet on the pitchers after last year. Right?
Yeah,
like we saw it last year. These hitters are really difficult, you know, because like we really saw bad years from almost all of them last season. But the pitchers were all fucking phenomenal, folks.
Yeah.
Like, how am I gonna bet against Kevin Gausman or Jose Berrios, you know? I see Yusei Kikuchi down there, too. I don't know how I'm possibly going to bet against that guy.
I know what you mean, especially because, look, I love the ages. You know, I'm always about, like, okay, where are they in their career right now in terms of health and whatnot. Players tend to, like, have a little bit of an earlier career. Pitchers have a little bit later career because you got to get a little more wiser to be a good pitcher. All of our pitchers are in, like, their 30s, other than Manoah, right? And you saw the up and down from Manoah. He's still learning right now, so I can't bet against him.
Yeah.
Let's move on to George Springer, the last batter here for the Toronto Blue Jays, and this is going to be an interesting one, folks. From what I remember, 772 OPS is the line that they have for George Springer, and he had a really bad year for OPS last year, from what I remember. Let me go find it.
I think it was like 729 or something like that. Like I think it was somewhere around that mark, and it just like not indicative at all of what George Springer is as a player. 732. I was very, very close. When you look at the career numbers and when you look at what he did last season, there is a vast difference, folks. There is a vast difference. And with George Springer especially, we were talking about it with Varsho, but with George Springer especially, it was the pop, dude. The Springer dingers just were not there. I mean, like, oh, what the frick?
40, yeah. What are you looking at, the 405
yeah, literally,
slugging?
405 slugging compared to the 472 that he had the year prior, the 555 that he had the year prior to that, the 5, right? So it's like his whole career, he's been great, and then last year.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, some people could point to Springer and be like, he's getting older, but I really still think it is a mentality approach by the Toronto Blue Jays hitting, where they have just gone away from, we're going to swing for power, we're going to instead hit the ball the other way, we're going to just try and make a barrel contact, we're not going to swing out of our butt. Yeah. However, you looked at Springer, Last year, you watch him at the plate, it looks like he's swinging out of his ass every time. But I think that's just how George Swing looks like. But I don't know. There could be a factor of that.
It is freaking weird that every single Toronto Blue Jays player,
that's what I'm saying.
Like, nobody hit 30 home runs. And it's not that they're not capable, right?
No.
It's like, you can't tell me that the home run derby winner can't hit over 30 home runs.
That's what I'm saying.
You can't tell me that Bichette doesn't have the potential, or that George Springer, who has consistently been one of the upper echelon players when it comes to slugging, isn't capable, right? Like, they or Matt Chapman, all these players, like, it was just so weird that no one was hitting for pop at all. So maybe it was an approach thing. I don't know why we didn't decide to adjust that approach halfway through the season when we looked at our slugging numbers and said to ourselves, we are not scoring runs. Maybe by that point it was just too far gone.
So what do you think, though? 772, that's asking for a lot compared to last year. Does he get back to his slugging numbers? It's tough, man. This is another one of those tough ones. Because, it is weighing on that, just like Varsho. What are you thinking?
I mean, and you gotta, I don't want to play the age game, but you do need to factor in a little bit of the age game here. Like, the guy's getting up there, and you're complaining about Danny Jansen not being able to stay healthy. I mean, George Springer is part of that as well. Usually George Springer stays on the field, but you know that he's always ailing with something, right? Yeah. He's always grabbing something. He makes a big swing. He's wincing. He's, like, gingerly jogging to first, like, he's always dealing with something, man, and it is difficult to be at your peak performance when you have, these little lingering things going on. Yeah.
Look, for me, I think George Springer's ceiling now at his age and where he is, I think a peak ceiling for him would be like an 830 OPS.
Right.
And I think he hit his, like, floor last year, so this is right in the middle. And if I'm a betting man coming off recency, I think I'm going to have to go slightly under on George Springer. Like a 760 OPS is what I would say he would have. And you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it based on where he is in his career.
Oh, man.
We'll take it for the money we're paying him. Yeah. That's for sure. But I'll take it for where he is in his career.
This is a tough one, man. This is a really tough one. I think I was also leaning under, but, like, part of me is just hoping that you can squeeze one more year out of that. Like, there's just a little bit more juice. If you can get a good year here from George Springer, then I'm not mad about the contract. I'm not, and he can suck in the next 2 years that we have him, right?
Yeah.
You were always expecting that probably the last 2 years weren't going to be great anyways. Like, but if you can just squeeze one more year out,
Yeah.
Give me a Renaissance. Give me a Nelson Cruz. Give me a Charlie Blackmon. Give me something. Let's go over.
Okay. I would love that. Last one, guys, on this list is our final pitcher, Yusei Kikuchi, who had an incredible bounce back year. Quite a year we had.
Yeah.
And this might play a little bit into the decision of whether we go over or under. His line for ERA is 441. Ooh. 441 is what Baseball Reference is telling us right here, folks. If we go over and we look at his career, granted, you could make an argument Kikuchi is a completely different pitcher because he changed. He changed how he pitches nowadays. And if we're going to say he's, all these other pitchers are getting wiser and getting more experience, same with Yusei Kikuchi. He's 32 years old right now. Has he figured it out after putting up a 3.86 ERA last year? What are your thoughts on that line?
That's
441.
It is a pretty good line, man, because I don't think that in any other year, correct me if I'm wrong, but has he gone under that in any other year other than last year? Or was that the only season?
That's the only... Oh, he actually had a 441 in 2021.
He just hit it. In his best other year, he just hit it. And then he came to Toronto, and he was terrible the first season, and he was pretty good last year as his career high. This one is kind of tough, man.
Yeah.
This one is kind of tough.
I think I'm going to lean with the under. Like, if there's some regression, I think it's going to be like maybe a 4.20 ERA. And they're going to adjust to what he's adjusted to now. Because everyone was expecting the old Kikuchi. And then he really adjusted. And no one was able to make that. There was times at the end of the season where he was getting hit a little bit, and that actually raised the ERA. I remember for a long time he was actually one of the leaders in ERA for the Toronto Blue Jays, like in the low 3s. Then he was getting kind of hit a bit. I hope that he's taken this offseason. I hope, again, wishful thinking, that he's now learned and then gone back and made a little bit of a readjustment to how they attacked him at the end of the season. But I still think that's going to be good enough to get an under here of 441 for me. Green under. Let's do it. That means I'm going under, except for Manoah, on all the pitchers.
Yeah, I know, and I feel like that in its own right is like, like are we gonna say that? Are we gonna tell that story? Like all of them are gonna be incredible again? Like,
yeah.
It's tough, man. Like I'm actually kind of struggling with them, and I see the chat. Like I got a few unders in there, but I also got an over too, and it is a little. It is a little difficult here for sure, right? I think the biggest thing with Kikuchi is, are you going to find the strike zone or not? Are you going to be able to find the strike zone or not? Because in his year that he had in 2022, I think he had a 1.5 whip. One and a half whip. You know? And last year he dropped that down to 1.27. Yeah. Which honestly isn't incredible, but it was good enough to get by, you know? Mm-hmm. And the question is, are we gonna be walking people like crazy again? Or are we going to find the zone?
That's the question. I don't know. I if anything, I think last year gave him a lot of confidence. And when Yusei is doing well, he's got confidence.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think you can be proud of what you did in the MLB last year.
Yeah, no, that's true.
I feel like you're leaning under, but
you know what?
Over, I mean.
Yeah, I feel like I'm leaning over too, but like part of me is just really wants it to be under, you know? Because again, if it's over, then that's a bad season.
If you believe in final years and doing well in the final years, it is his walk year.
You know what, and I do agree with that, but also I feel like Yusei Kikuchi is different in the sense where, like with Danny Jansen, I think that's going to help him. With Yusei Kikuchi, I feel like he'll get in his head about that. You know? It's like, that's where I'm attacking it for him. So, you know what? I am going to go over. I hate to say it. I am going to go over with Yusei Kikuchi, but just slightly, like maybe 4.5. So there you have it, folks. That is our kind of Toronto Blue Jays over-under. Let us know in the comments. Let us know your thoughts. Were you riding with us? I feel like our predictions, they're definitely kind of biased. They are a little biased for sure. And I imagine if you had a Yankees fan in here, they would not feel the same way that we do.
Yeah, they would probably be under on Kirk, under on Danny. They'd probably be under on a lot of the pitchers too.
But what is the wins projection here?
With this kind of team, honestly, from my side, look, I have our two best hitters not doing as well as I'd hope them to do. I hope they do those OPS.
And you have Springer going under too.
And so our top 3 hitters, I am off. So and our pitchers are gonna be good. If this happens,
it's basically the same year as last year.
I think we miss playoffs. I think we get 80, 87, 80, 86 wins with this team.
Whereas me, I say Guerrero does good. I say George Springer does good. I'm not on Manoah. I'm not on Kikuchi. I'm kind of like a little bit of both. I'm dipping my toes into both sides.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Granted, you have the middle of the lineup, Kirk and Danny really popping off.
Kirk
they're driving in runs.
Good. That's true.
I think in your projection, the offense pops off.
The offense does a lot better. The offense does better in my projection. The pitching does worse.
So where do you got right now?
Honestly around 89, 90 wins. Maybe.
Yeah, I think you're back to 91, 90 wins as well. So that team, your team makes playoffs. My team just misses, and we all cry ourselves to sleep in the offseason.
Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We appreciate every single one of you. And as always, folks,
go Jays, go!